Hi, Meagan. Welcome to the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, our pleasure. We're excited for you to be here. I can't wait for you to share some business advice with our listeners and kind of dive into your story, how you went from A to B. And we're just really happy to have you here. So thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. So let's kind of dive in. If you would share with our listeners what you're currently doing. I definitely want to get into your story of how you got here, but why don't you first share what you're currently doing in the health and wellness space?
Sure. Okay. So I am a health coach, life coach, and business coach. So a lot of coaching. And I am also a fitness instructor. I specialize in Pilates and bar and working with my clients to really achieve kind of like a 360 approach, drop insecurity, and define success on their own terms, whatever that looks like for them in health, in wellness, in relationships, in business, all of it.
Okay, that's great. And does that involve, do you sometimes do business coaching, health coaching, like deal with health coaches who are looking for fitness coaching and business coaching? Do you do that too? Wrap it all in one.
Yes. It's wild. Yes. So, well, we find like a lot of times these health coaches, right? They're so big on like building the business and taking in all the clients that they actually forget about these practices that they should be doing for themselves as well. So yes, sometimes it's, are you drinking your water? Like, you know what's best. Let's take it down to like the foundational levels. Yeah, so absolutely. And in helping them build their business, they have to come from an aligned place, like empowered, inspired action. And if that's off, then the business is going to be off too. So yeah, sometimes we do it all. And with my health coaching and life coaching, I do group programs and one-on-one. Okay. So I'm doing a lot of that.
That's great. Okay. So we're going to get back into the whole, if you're not aligned, the business isn't aligned. We're going to elaborate much more on that in a second. But what I'd like for you to do is share how you got into this space. Is it something that you've always done? Were you doing something else before? Can you share with us a little bit of that journey?
Definitely. So I actually was in media sales for a long time. I worked for iHeartMedia, then it was Clear Channel, and a few other companies like Rue La La, which honestly, I don't even know if they still exist. And most recently I was with Yahoo. So I was a high earning account executive in the hustle of working with clients and agencies and creative and deadlines. And I got into the space because at first I was in radio and it was really fun and it was lots of fun events. And it was like my dream to work in radio when I was little. If you're from the Boston area, like Kiss 108 and Gem 94.5, I told my dad when I was little, that's where I'm going to work. And then I did it. So it was awesome until it wasn't, until I was running myself ragged and completely stressed out. I was overworking. I was overworking out. I was also over partying and just hustling and putting myself last. And I couldn't figure out why I couldn't lose weight. I couldn't figure out why I had chronic migraines and cystic acne. And I was obsessed with learning about foods and diet in the sense of for weight loss. Mm-hmm. But I never had the thought that, I should also be taking care of myself. And when that switched for me was when I didn't want to be on migraine medication anymore. And I didn't want to be on Accutane anymore because that was ruining just everything. And that's a cystic acne medication. And I just felt awful. And I was like, you know what? I have to heal. And in my healing is when I developed this passion because so many people I knew were in the exact same spot that I was. So I started doing Pilates versus super intensive, high intensity interval training. Rather than dieting and cutting out fats, I started adding fats back in. I realized gluten and dairy really didn't agree with me rather than just for diet purposes. When I thought, I could feel better. Mm-hmm. That's when it became like switch flipped and it went to self-care. And then I started learning about all of the things that I can do rather than taking away. So it was an abundance mindset versus scarcity. And this is where we'll go back into like building the business from alignment. So when I came from a place of abundance, then I was thinking, what can I do to fuel my body to feel good? Then I did that. And then I was like, no, a lot of people need this. I can build a business doing this that I love. So for a long time, I was working my day job. I was teaching Pilates and barre in the mornings, at lunch, and at night. I was getting my health coach certification during all of that time too. This was before I had babies. And I just slowly built up my clientele to a place where I felt comfortable leaving. And then I could just focus on that. And that's when the magic happened.
Yeah. Wow. And I feel like that's so many people who kind of like transition slowly, right? It's for some people, they feel super comfortable just like jumping straight in and leaving it all behind. But sometimes that little slow transition can just give us a little bit of the comfort in knowing that you're going to move from one to the other eventually, but it doesn't have to be kind of this all or nothing, immediate type of more. So I think sometimes can be more fearful for people. And if you can kind of do it a little bit slower, you can stay more aligned with your purpose, and it doesn't kind of have to have that same mindset.
Totally. 100%.
Yeah. So, okay, let's kind of do a little bit of the scarcity mindset versus abundance, all of the stuff that you kind of specialize when you're specifically business coaching. I think it can also, pertain to health coaching too, when you're trying to help somebody transform their body or get their, nutrition better in line. People kind of tend to think, I have to take all these things away, like you were saying at the beginning. And sometimes it's just about maybe adding in good things that they aren't doing or that they're depriving themselves of. So I think it can definitely pertain to all of the things you're helping coach people in. But because this is for the sole purpose of mainly health coaches, why don't we chat about the business aspect of what you kind of find is the most important part when starting a business or kind of newly launching a business? What do you find to be most important in that alignment?
Most important. Okay, that's big. There's a lot of important things, but yeah.
Or the thing that you find is kind of most beneficial to chat about today. It doesn't have to be maybe the one that is most important, but that you think could be most universal. No.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So a lot of times when I am business coaching health coaches, they are coming from a place of imposter syndrome because they're usually going from one job to another, exactly how I did. And I completely understand it. And I've been there. I was so scared to launch my website just to click live. I was terrified of what the other guys in the office, the guys were going to say, because it was kind of like a bro club. What were they going to say about me doing this? And it's like, that matters absolutely zero, because they are not going to be my clients. They are not paying my bills. They are not feeling fulfilled in my body, in my life. It does not matter. So I think there's kind of two parts. Understanding that where you are is exactly where you're supposed to be. So therefore, you're not an imposter. You're you, exactly where you're supposed to be. And all you have to do to start is be a few steps ahead of your clients. You don't have to be Stephen Cabral, right? He's him. He gets to be him. You get to be you and offer your expertise. And everybody has different levels of healing. We have different levels of learning, and just being comfortable knowing, developing that confidence that you can help your client exactly at the stage that you're in. We just have to be one or two steps ahead. And the further removed you are, honestly, sometimes the harder it is to relate. So exactly where you are, that's your superpower. That's where you're meant to be, and your clients will meet you where you are. And as your knowledge increases, the need from your clients increases as well. So just having that confidence that you can help them just as you are right now.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. When I started working for Dr. Cabral originally, because he was him and I was me, and it was just the two of us when, the company first started, I was always like, oh my God, but I'm not him. And they're only going to want to work with him. And he always said to me, and I'll never forget it, you are still the expert. Are you me? No. But when it comes to your relationship with the client, you are still the expert. You can still help them. You can still guide them. You're not where you want to be because you're an ambitious person that wants to learn more, but that does not mean that you can't actually help in the position that you're in right now. You'll continue to grow and you can help more and you will know more, but right now you're still the expert. And I think that's like exactly what you're trying to say.
100%. And this is kind of where like the scarcity versus abundance mindset comes in. Because if you're thinking, I don't know enough, that thought of I don't know enough, your thoughts create your feelings. So if you're thinking, I don't know enough, how do you feel? Probably insecure. And when you feel insecure, what do you do or not do? right? You hold yourself back. You don't put yourself out there. You don't talk about your expertise. You don't share what you've learned. And therefore, you're not helping the people that you're meant to be helping. Like, you're not actually following your calling and your passion. But if your thought is, I know more than enough, I have a wealth of knowledge, or even just like, I'm always learning. When you think that, empowered, motivated. And when you're coming from a place of inspired action, empowered motivation, what do? You tell people, I'm a health coach. I'm building my business. Hey, do you want to work with me? I'm looking to build a small group. You gain even more knowledge by working with people. And that's how you help more people, gaining more knowledge, right?
Of course. Yeah. So what are some of your kind of tips and tricks when working with, the health coaches in a business coaching aspect to help them get over imposter syndrome, or maybe deal with some of the stuff that you're just explaining, as far as putting themselves out there or feeling comfortable enough in their own capabilities, those types of things? What are some of your tactics?
So yeah, it comes very much from a life coaching perspective. So I ask them, how do you want to feel? How do you want to feel in your business as you're launching, as you're growing? Because confidence is a choice, right? A lot of times we think, I'll be confident when I have that certification. I'll feel like an expert when I'm at Dr. Cabral's level. I'll be confident when I lose the weight. Confidence is a choice. So I help them to decide, how do you want to feel? And then assign a thought to that, or a mantra. Like, I can help people exactly where I am right now, or I will figure this out, right? It's like when someone comes to me, what if they have a problem that I don't know how to solve? So you have a few different things. You research, you consult an expert, you give them a referral, but either way, you're helping them. Maybe it's all of those things. Either way, you're helping them, and you're helping them to be in a better place than where they were when they came to you. So just developing that inner knowing that, okay, I have everything I need right now. And when the thought is, I have everything I need, I'm always growing, you can put yourself out there exactly like I said. And then the business just grows. There's a lot of steps that goes into the business growth, of course, but you can show up on social media, right? And share exactly what you do know, even if it's an incredible smoothie recipe. Yeah. Share. Help people know, like, and trust you. But you have to know, like, and trust yourself first before anybody else can do that. You have to sell yourself first on that and truly believe it before anybody else will.
Exactly. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And now, so when it comes to that whole confidence aspect, right? When you're helping somebody build that deeper confidence, do you find that is more important than any tactical business steps they're going to take, like their website, like their, all of the things that might be on a checklist if a male were to tell them how to start a business, or who knows? Do you find which is more important?
Ooh, that's a big question. Okay. Well, definitely they go hand in hand, but I think the ability to network and tell people what you do is far greater than having a website or a business card or, whatever it is there. So let's say you're at a party, a birthday party. We're doing those again, right? Like, you're at a summer barbecue, you're doing something, and someone says, what do you do? Are you going to hide and be like, oh, I do this thing where I'm a health coach or whatever? Or do you show up with confidence, right? So it's cultivating the confidence that allows you to put yourself out there. I'm a health coach. I specialize in hormonal health, and I help women in any stage of life recalibrate their hormones so they can feel better than they ever thought possible. If you say that, they're going to be like, wow, I need you. It's not, well, let me look at your logo. Let me go to your website and see if I like the vibe, and then maybe I'll work with you. No, it's that connection. Building that first is paramount, and then everything else can fall into place. Yes, having a home on the internet is important. Sure. People want to know where they can connect with you. Maybe you want to build your email list. We have those technical business things that we work on at the same time, but those aren't going to happen, and they're not going to be successful if you don't truly believe in yourself and your abilities.
Yes. Yeah. And I feel like so often too, we as human beings, we just relate to the vibe that we get from the other person. So like you said, if somebody, not knowing that the other person at the party is not gonna be like, gee, she's not that confident, I'm not gonna work with her. But it just doesn't have that same attraction to the other person who's listening to like, wow, that sounds interesting. And maybe they're not gonna work with you, but maybe they think about their sister who can't get pregnant and she's gonna work with you. Wow, you sound like you know what you're talking about, versus, oh, you're a health coach. Well, send me your information. It has a completely, we are all energy and we just kind of perceive what the other people around us are kind of putting out. And so, yeah, I couldn't agree more.
100%. And even if you don't get a client from that conversation, which happens all of the time, the fact that you are just telling people what you do, exactly that energetic. It's like a muscle, right? Building confidence is like a muscle. And so you have to decide that you are, and then you build it and you reinforce, and you make this checklist in your head, like, oh my God, I am a badass. I've got this. And then remembering it's actually not even about you. It's about your clients. It's about the people that you're going to serve.
Yes. Yep. Right? Yeah. Because I recently was having a conversation with somebody who wasn't sure if she was, of the right level to start doing this stuff. And my exact words for her were, you will be leaving so many people unhelped by not choosing this path. And she wanted so much to do it, but she didn't know if she knew enough, or, could I really succeed at this? And I was like, think about all of the people that will go unhelped because you didn't choose to take this path. And it's about you sharing your knowledge and your gift with the world, which you have a lot of. And sometimes, people forget exactly what you just said was, yes, it's about you as, you build your business and you deal with all of that, but it's also about all the people that you're helping or not helping in that process.
100%. Yeah. And when we're able to take ourselves out of it and think about the people that need this, or when I think about like my younger self dealing with the cystic acne and the constipation and the headaches and all of that, if I could have found somebody to help me at that point, oh my gosh, that would have been incredible. It took me years, right? I don't care what their website would have looked like. I just needed someone to walk me through this. Of course, people existed. It wasn't that long ago. I just didn't know how to access them. But it's about your client and how you're going to help them change their lives, right? We're not changing their lives. We're helping them do it.
Yep. Yeah. Assisting them to see how they can, make changes, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. So imposter syndrome, big one. What about do you have like a second kind of tier of things that you see a lot more common, just like imposter syndrome maybe, where you kind of have to move clients from one belief or one thing to another before business is aligned?
Yeah. Comparison is huge. Comparison is like one of the biggest ones. Well, I'm not as big as so-and-so, or so-and-so just posted a smoothie recipe. I can't do that too. And that's specific to Instagram, but okay, so what? Again, they're not you. People know, like, and trust you. So what can you provide for them? And what is that special something that you bring? Right? I think it's Marie Forleo always talks about like that special something that only you have. And it's true. There's lots of health coaches, as there should be. There's lots of doctors. There are lots of, I'm looking outside, there's lots of landscapers, right? But like, what do you provide that's different than everybody else? And when you see yourself as unique, whether it's your personality, your approach, the way you speak to clients, the way you take care of them, the way you hold them, the offerings that you have, what you have that's unique, you don't have room for comparison. There's no room for that when you're thinking about all of the great things that you do have to offer and how you can help people. Comparison is kind of like crowded out. It's not even there, right? Yes, of course, there's going to be industry standards and you want to be up on all the things. And if there's new certifications, absolutely, new things to learn, great. But let it be a source of inspiration versus compare and despair. Very different.
Of course. Yeah. And the comparison, I think, comes with the confidence, right? Because when you're confident in who you are, what your unique qualities are, all of that, then you don't have that quick tendency to compare and despair. I like that little saying. That's good.
Yes.
Comparison always leads to some sort of despair for sure. Because and I think, the social media world, has allowed us to reach so many people, to help others, to connect. But that one ability that it does have to allow us to also compare to, we wouldn't know what Susie Q and, all of these other coaches were doing or how they were showing up without social media. And yes, it can be a source of kind of motivation, but sometimes depending on our lens, we can compare too much and it can kind of be like, oh, I'm not doing that, I'm not enough. And those types of things tend to kind of lead us down that rabbit hole.
100%. And I help my clients really develop their self-concept. So again, knowing what is unique about them, what they love doing, what they specialize in, what is going to define them as a health coach, as a practitioner, so that again, they can stand out. There's no comparison, because when you have your self-concept like down, the despair never comes in. It's like, oh, good for her. She does it that way. That's cool. Yeah. Oh, he specializes in that. Amazing. People will always need what you have, like your special sauce. People need it.
Yes. Okay. So let's switch gears a little bit, because I'm curious if this was something. So you went from clearly a completely unrelated, although I think your personality and your relatability certainly was probably molded and formed in the media industry. So you brought that to coaching, and I'm sure your clients love working with you in that sense, but you went from something so different to, a completely different business. Did you have any struggles, any obstacles that you overcame, whether it was, imposter syndrome or, comparing, or what was your transition like? And did you find it to kind of help now what you're coaching others to do?
100% helped. Yes. Because I think I went through all the obstacles, whether it be financial, time in the day, comparisonitis, not feeling enough, insecurity, all of it. Like I said, even building my website, right? I built it myself on Squarespace, shout out to Squarespace. And I was just so terrified to click live. So scared, because yes, I was comparing. Was it good enough? Was I going to be judged? All of that. So having to overcome that and build myself up and in my own self-concept now as a coach versus an employee. Now I was my own boss, and no one was going to promote me except for me. And no one's giving me a raise except for me. So if I really did want to make this a business, I had to step it way up and believe in myself more than I ever did before. So having to overcome that for sure. When we talk about scarcity versus abundance, I had to overcome a lot of money mindset things growing up. Didn't really have any. And I built, my media business, my media career, I will say, great income. And then I was going right back down, and that was really scary. So again, I had to step it up and believe in myself more than I ever had to before. So there were obstacles along the way, and never feeling like there was enough time in the day and comparing. And so, I think it really helps me where I'm at now to see, like, been there. I understand this pain. It is so real, but then helping my clients understand it is just discomfort. It is just discomfort. And if you can sit with the discomfort and move forward anyway, you're unstoppable.
Yes. And that's where we grow, right? We always grow when we push like that most uncomfortable limit, that feeling that makes us go, oh my God, I don't want to do this. Like, just make this go away, like anything but this. That's where, when we kind of push through, like you said, then you're unstoppable. Now you have all of that momentum behind you, right? That same energy that was trying to hold you back because you pushed forward. Now it can launch you into a lot of amazing things if you just allow yourself to kind of push through the most uncomfortable part of it.
Right. And it never stops getting uncomfortable, because you're always growing, right? If it's not uncomfortable, you're kind of stagnant, and that's cool. If that's where you want to be, no problem. Stay exactly where you are. But even for me, when I launch a new program, or sometimes when I do like a vulnerable podcast and hit publish, I'm like, oh, this is really scary and uncomfortable. And what are people going to say? And I do it anyway. Because again, I'm the boss. No one's promoting me. It's all me, right? It's all you. It's all the clients. And that can be really exciting. It can be really scary, but it can be really rewarding.
Yes. Yeah. And no one's promoting you, and also no one's firing you. So so you get to you just get to be you, and no one at the end of the day, you're the only one that's going to say, you know what, you're done podcasting. That was too much. We're done.
Exactly. And also with that, like, let's say you're a health coach and you want to launch a new program, but 2 people sign up. 2 people sign up, but you wanted 10. No one knows you wanted 10. You can decide that 2 people is a success, and you can cultivate the relationship with those 2 new clients, and you can make this the most incredible program and use that to learn what you could do better, how you can grow, how you can serve people. You can decide that was a success. That was a raging success. I had 2 people in my first group program, and it was awesome.
Yes.
You get to decide because you're the boss.
Yes. Yeah. And we've talked on other shows about how we always have a decision in anything in life, whether we're talking about business, whether we're talking about what we're eating, what we're doing, relationships, everything is a choice. And oftentimes, we can kind of get in the mentality that we're just, the product of circumstance, or which there's certainly things that are very real that can hold people back at certain times. But often we at least have a choice over our thoughts. And choosing specific thought patterns can be incredibly, influential one way or the other.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. And in my line of coaching, so the circumstance is always a neutral. And it's your thoughts about your circumstance that create the feeling. And the feeling is what drives the action, which creates your results, right? So the circumstance is always a neutral. Even when my health coaching clients come to me and they say, I'm 170 pounds and I feel so fat and I'm gross and I'm all of these things. I'm like, well, 170 pounds is a neutral because that's somebody's goal weight. There's somebody walking around on this earth that's 170 pounds, exactly your body type, and think they look incredible. Right? It's a complete neutral. It's your thoughts about it. And once you change your thoughts about it and you're like, okay, 170 pounds, it's not where I want to be, but I'm okay. That's a better feeling thought than I'm so fat and gross, right? Like that's not where we want to be. That's not going to help us move forward. And let's say with my business coaching clients, they have 1,000 followers on Instagram. I only have 1,000 followers. Like that's just so low. The circumstance is neutral because those 1,000 followers, those are your people. If you have 1,000 people in a room, that's a lot of people you're talking to, right? And those 50 likes that you get on whatever, 50 people, that's a lot. Those are your new clients. Yeah. Treat them with attention and love and respect rather than reaching for more. If you look at that as a neutral and assign a better feeling thought, you don't have to go from negative to like toxic positivity. That's not where we're going, but just to a place that feels better so you can show up fully. That's where the magic is. Thoughts are a choice.
Yes, of course. Yeah. One quote that kind of changed my life years and years and years ago. And I remember I was in a place where I just was not in a good spot. And I read something that said, people go to bed praying for the things that you have. And it's so true, where there's people, do you want this or that? And there's people that would kill for what you have, whether it's health, whether it's, a happy, whatever it may be, we're talking monetary, not, there's people out there that would do anything for that. And maybe when you said 170 pounds, there's people that are 220 wanting to get down to 170 was what made me think of that. And you're absolutely right. It's the circumstance. The issue is the circumstance, and our thoughts around it kind of determine whether it holds us back or gets us to move forward.
Exactly. Yep. So, and not to say that you have to stay stuck and just be like, okay, well, I should be happy with this. That's not it. No. But come from a place of like grace and gratitude and those 1,000 followers. Well, I'm growing. I'm talking to an engaged audience. That's pretty awesome. And I'm going to keep doing that and I'm going to grow versus it's never enough. Right? Yes. Yeah, but exactly. I love that quote too. I think that's super powerful.
Yes. Yeah. And it's all grounded in gratitude. Like you said, when you have a grateful mindset, really anything is wonderful. You can wake up feeling happy with what you have. And oftentimes just that will lead to more of where you're meant to be and lead more to what's meant for you and kind of propel you in the proper direction, I believe. And yeah, like you said, the gratitude is huge.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Like law of attraction, always coming from a place of gratitude. And that's when you attract the more. And yes. You are the more. You're the one that creates the more. So be in that higher vibe state is very helpful.
Yes. And I think too, a lot of people always think about how many clients, how much. And I always, say just focusing on how much you're helping somebody and how much your place showing up as you in this world has changed one person. I mean, when I do my client calls, I just need one person a day to be like, smiling. They don't even have to say anything, but I've done my job. Like that is all I need. Somebody, their day was a little bit better, and focusing on how the client is, benefiting from what you're bringing to the world is, I think, another huge piece of it, instead of kind of focusing on, what you're getting from it, so to speak.
100%. Right. And then knowing that little piece of a day, because they're feeling a little bit better, how that trickles into their family and how they show up better for their job, for their relationships, for whatever. And with that, knowing that you helped create that change, you can help create more change and keep showing up from a place, again, of grace and gratitude, not perfectly. Yes. Right. We're always want to be doing more and better and all of the things. But if you have gratitude for where you are, and give yourself the grace to keep growing, it's, again, another reason you're unstoppable. Keep going.
Yes. Yep, of course. So if you had to share with our listeners, maybe just one, whether it be Instagram account or piece of literature, a book or a podcast, something that you find particularly helpful. So we're having listeners listen to this and they're like, you know what, this is totally what's holding me back. I need to hear more. We're going to share your Instagram in just a few minutes. But as far as places where you've learned or you've been inspired, what would some of those places or contacts look like, whether it's Instagram, social media, podcast?
Sure. Yeah. So, Gabby Bernstein was kind of like a launching point for my wellness and mental just overhaul, I would say, when scarcity versus lack. So, I love all of her books. I think she's incredible. As far as business podcasts, I mean, of course, this one. And then I love the Life Coach School podcast is incredible for mindset. And then there's another one really good for like the sales side of things, how to like get out of your own way and take action, move forward. It's called Make Money as a Life Coach. So just insert health coach because it's the same idea. Yeah. With Stacey Bayman. I really like that one as well. And of course, my podcast, Resting Bliss Face, all the things.
Yes.
But I think those two podcasts are consistent as far as like my business help goes, not just entertainment. Entertainment is a whole different animal when podcasts come into play. And on Instagram, my friend Robin Eucalyptus is incredible. She has a lot of good business tips, health tips. She's a health and life coach as well. I think those are my faves. Those are my tops.
Okay, that's great. And now can you share with our listeners where they can find you on social media? So share your podcast, your website, Instagram account, all of that.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. So my Instagram is megfitz.gerald, Fitz.gerald. There's a million Meagan Fitzgerald, so megfitz.gerald. Mm-hmm. You can find me at meaganfitzgerald.com, MEAGAN, meaganfitzgerald.com, easy peasy. And my podcast is Resting Bliss Face.
Okay, I love that podcast name. That's so great.
Thank you.
And the podcast is it coaching inspired or is it more entertainment? What's the topic of the podcast? Totally
coaching inspired, just helping. It's mostly for women. So helping women move forward in a way that feels good and stop being held back by insecurities, whether it's like weight or imposter syndrome, exactly what we're talking about here. I talk a lot about foods. It's a lot health coach meets just like stepping it up in all the areas of life.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much for being on the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast. This was such a pleasure. And I think our listeners got so much valuable information and we really appreciate you being here.
Oh, I hope they did. Thank you so much for having me. It was amazing to talk to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Meagan. We'll be in touch soon.
Okay. Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Bye.